because they have some kind of mindset concerning what's happening now in preparation for the Antichrist. And I think he thinks there are things that can be done to stop the coming of the Antichrist, which I think it's his misunderstanding of Calvinism. He thinks that if you believe in a set script for the end times, that you're Calvinistic. Well, I'm not Calvinistic. You're not Calvinistic, but there is a set script for the end times. And God is actually going to use the free will of his rebellious creatures, to bring about that script.
Yep.
So he can't stop the coming of the Antichrist as much as he would like to.
Let's go to the next clip. Here we go.
There's a type, a system, a person. It has something to do in this post-Christian, it's something that's sort of a possibility in this post-Christian world. It is in some ways, and it's related to Christ in a very complicated way. So, the theological question you can always ask, is it possible to be too Christian? And in theory, no. But, in practice, if you think you're more Christian than Christ, you're in trouble.
From a prophecy 2,000 years old to our own times, you draw attention to two portrayals, fictional portrayals of an Antichrist from about a century ago. Vladimir Soloviev, a Russian mystic, in 1900 wrote a book, or a novella, A Short Tale of the Antichrist, and then a 1905 novel by a Roman Catholic English priest called Robert Hugh Benson, and the novel is Lord of the World. In both of these fictional accounts, the Antichrist emerges as a charismatic figure, a kind of Superman. Soloviev, quote, "There was a remarkable person, many called him a Superman. He believed in God, but in the depths of his soul, he preferred himself." In Benson, the Antichrist is portrayed again as a charismatic figure. He becomes president of Europe. Then, in some mysterious way, he's elected president of the world. But in both of those fictional accounts of a century ago, there's a plot hole. We're not given the mechanism by which this strange, charismatic figure achieves dominance. And your argument is, again, if I understand it correctly, that now, today, a century after Soloviev and Robert Hugh Benson, we can understand a mechanism. We could imagine a mechanism by which such a figure might emerge.
Yeah, by the way, those are both fantastic books. I have a preference for the Soloviev one, but Benson and Soloviev are both terrific books. There are all these extraordinary ways that they still resonate 100 years later. So, Soloviev envisions the United States of Europe, so sort of a European Union, the sort of super state. In Benson, the Antichrist is a Jewish socialist senator from Vermont. And so I was a little bit nervous about Bernie Sanders, but so there are
too much on the nose.
There sort of are elements of them where.
By the way, you're not quite the only person. I noticed in reading up on this, Benedict XVI several times mentioned approvingly the Robert Hugh Benson book, and Pope Francis over and over again has referred to it. So, two popes and Peter Thiel.
So there are sort of all sorts of parts of it where they have this feeling being near great literature, but the plot hole is sort of like how does a sort of world takeover actually happen? And it's kind of not a deus ex machina, but it's like a daemonium ex machina. It's like the Antichrist just gives these hypnotic speeches where nobody can remember a word, and then sort of just swindles people's souls out of them, and they submit to this totalitarian state or something like this. And I think if we were to speculate on how to solve that plot hole, we have an answer in the world after 1945 that people are in 1900, early 20th century, people were not yet scared of apocalyptic weapons. They could not imagine, anything of the scale that we'd have by the second half of the 20th century. And so the Antichrist takes over by talking about Armageddon.
Wow. So there you go. And of course, here we are on tonight, Tuesday night, June 3rd, 2025. And we're just, every day, we're escalating closer and closer to World War III, or what we might call Armageddon. I know it's not the Revelation 19 Armageddon, but wow, these guys are right here on the scene. Think about this, Dr. Woods. They're right here on the scene with their specific ability and technology and worldview, at the very moment they're talking about the things they're talking about that would precipitate an Antichrist figure as they build the system that I think the Antichrist will use.
Well, I think it relates to the fact that they understand the technology. I mean, they understand it cold. And they understand that if someone else comes on the scene and abuses the technology, it will usher humanity, very quickly into global tyranny. And I think that's what he's nervous about. I think he sees the potential for evil, I should put it that way, of what he himself has created. He's comfortable with antichrists of the past. You'll notice he talks about Alexander the Great, Nero. They're talking about these books, that were written 100 years ago. I would understand that as he's comfortable with past antichrist, but he's worried about the future one because he understands the technology and its enslavement capacity, technology that we've never had before in world history.